All right, Mr. Emmett here for 9.2 day 2. We're going to work with our second special right triangle, and this one's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. This one's a little bit easier to identify. We don't have to look for congruent sides because all the three sides are going to be a different length. One of the angles is going to be marked as 90, one is 60, one is 30. I mean, we're going to know two of those no matter what, so it's a little bit more obvious to see it's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. Now, a couple pieces of the 30, 60, 90 right triangle. There's two legs. The one across from the 30-degree angle is the short leg. Okay, across from the 30. The one across from the 60 is the long leg. And obviously the one across from the right angle is the hypotenuse. Now this one's a little bit tougher because there's two formulas. The hypotenuse is equal to the short leg times 2. So double the short leg, that's the hypotenuse. That was easy. And the long leg is equal to the short leg times the square root of 3. So the key is to find, forgotten N, the short leg. So we got to find the short leg first, all right? So first example's a tough one, all right? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to label in the pieces. X is the short, Y is the hypotenuse, and looks like 9 is the long. And I'm keeping this in simplest radical form. So in this case, I'm working to find the short leg first. Always find the short leg first. So this is the long and the short. The formula with the long leg is equal to the long equals the short times the square root of 3. So in this case, the long one's 9. The short one's x times the square root of 3. Now I got to solve the formula. Divide both sides by the square root of 3 and put a 2 there. Divide by the square root of 3, and again, it looks like I have to rationalize the denominator. Process again is just to multiply by whatever's down there. So I have to take 9 times the square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3. Multiply by whatever's down there. Do it to the bottom, have to do it to the top. And when we simplify, 9 times the square root of 3 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 is the square root of 9. When I take the square root of 9, I get 9 times the square root of 3 over 3. And I can take this one step further by simplifying 9 over 3 to 3 times the square root of 3. So I found x. X is equal to 3 times the square root of 3. So that was the hard part. All right, that was the toughie. Now that I know the short leg, I have to find the hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is equal to, I'm going to do that in different colors so it stands out a little bit better. The hypotenuse is equal to the short times 2. So now that I know the short leg is 3 times the square root of 3, I just have to take the hypotenuse, which is y, equals the short leg, 3 root 3 times 2. Just have to double it. Now when I double it, I multiply by the number outside the square root. So 3 times 2 is 6 times the square root of 3 equals y. We found both. That is as hard as they get. The hardest one's when they give you the long leg. All right? So, on to the next one. It appears 15. That is the short. I'm going to just put an S here. Long hypotenuse. So in this case, I know the short. We'll find the hypotenuse first. The hypotenuse equals the short times 2. So hypotenuse y equals our short leg, 15 times 2. That is 30. Got it. Now we'll find the long leg. The long leg is equal to the short times the square root of 3. So the long one is x. Short one's 15 times the square root of 3. Nothing to simplify. We are done. All right, identify our parts first. Short, I'm going to use a color here. Short, long, across from the 60, across from the 30, hypotenuse. So first find the short. We're working with the hypotenuse. We have to use the formula with the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is equal to the short times 2. So when I plug in my values, 22 in for hypotenuse. Short is y. times 2. So I have to divide both sides by 2, and y is equal to 11. Now I found the short leg's 11. So the long leg equals the short times the square root of 3. Plug in our values. The long leg is x equals our short, which is 11 times the square root of 3. And we got it. All right. And I am going to leave number 7 for you to try. And the reason why I say I'm going to leave that one for you to try is it is the exact same problem as what we did up here. Okay, so give that one a shot. If you get stuck, backtrack and kind of look at the process that we did for this. This is the same exact problem, okay? Short, long, hypotenuse. All righty. On to our next example. It says the road sign is shaped like an equilateral triangle. Estimate the area of the sign by finding the area of the equilateral triangle. So, now let's see here. For me to find the area of the equilateral triangle, I have to find the height. So I'm gonna draw this height in right there. Since this is an equilateral triangle, this is 60 degrees, and this is 30 degrees. I need to find this piece in the middle. We'll call that the height h, okay? So for us to find that height, I had to break this in half so I can find the length of the short leg. So 36 divided by 2 is 18. All right, so now I know that is 18. So that's the short leg. The h is the long leg. So the long leg, h, is equal to the short leg, 18 times the square root of 3. Okay, way I got that, long equals short times the square root of 3. We got to memorize that formula. All right, so now I know the height. 18 times square root of 3. Now to find the area. Equals 1/2 times the base, which is 36. Whole thing times the height, 18 root 3. All right, so let's simplify that down here now. So 1/2 of 36 is 18. Then we can take 18 times 18, which is 324 times the square root of 3. That's the area, and that's in inches squared. Now, a decimal approximation is, using my calculator, 561.18 inches squared. So that would be my decimal approximation. Just have to type that in. If I were to type that in here real quick, 324 square root 3, notice I didn't keep it in exact, and there we are. All right, next one. Tipping platform is a ramp used to unload trucks. How high is the end of an 80-foot ramp when the tipping angle is 30 degrees and when it's 45 degrees? So, it appears as if the ramp itself is 80 feet long. So I know from here to here is 80. First, we'll do this with a 45 and a 45. First, we'll go with the 45, 45, 90. So this is the hypotenuse, and this is a leg. Okay, so I'm doing it with 45 first. And when I set up the equation with a 45, 45, 90, the hypotenuse is equal to a leg times the square root of 2. 80 in for the hypotenuse. The leg, we'll call that h times the square root of 2. Got to divide both sides by the square root of 2. And we got it there. For this one, it doesn't say really if I need to keep it in exact or decimal form. So I am going to just go with exact form. Keep in mind, have to rationalize the denominator. So I would have 80 square root 2 over square root of 2 times the square root of 2. Multiply by whatever's down there. It's equal to the height. Now, 80 square root 2, 2 times 2 is 4, square root of 4 is 2. And I can simplify that one step further. 80 divided by 2 is 40. Times the square root of 2 is equal to the height. So that is for the 45, 45, 90. Now with the 30, 60, 90, I'm going to redraw the triangle here real quick. 80. Now my tipping angle will be 30. So this would be the short, and this is the hypotenuse. So with the 30, 60, 90, the short leg, we'll call that H again. Short leg H, short equal, I wrote that down. Sorry, hypotenuse equals the short times 2. So putting in the hypotenuse, 80 equals our short leg H times 2, divide by 2, and the height is equal to 40, and that's in feet. I forgot to put feet here. Okay. And that should do it for that. The next couple of examples here for the monitoring progress, the next 4, involve some 30, 60, 90 and some 45, 45, 90. So my recommendation here is to hit pause, see how you do on the next 4, and then come back. All right, hopefully you had some success. So, first one, XX. That tells me it's a 45, 45, 90. Those are the same size. So that's a leg, and this is a hypotenuse. The hypotenuse equals leg times square root 2. So when I plug those values in, 2 root 2 equals my leg x times the square root of 2. Divide both sides by the square root of 2. And we get x to equal 2. Got it. Next one. These are both the same size. So again, it's a 45, 45, 90. Leg, hypotenuse. The hypotenuse y is equal to the leg, which is the square root of 2 times the square root of 2. All right, leg, hypotenuse equals leg times square root 2. Our leg this time is the same thing as what we're multiplying by. So, square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 4, which is 2. Simplify it down to the 2. All right, 30, 60, 90. This is the short, this is the long, and here's the hypotenuse. I'm just supposed to find the long leg. So, the long leg is equal to the short times the square root of 3. So, plugging in my values, long leg is x equals short square root 3 times square root 3. That turns into the square root of 9, which is 3. Got it. And the last one, 4, 4, 4, 4. So the whole thing is 4. This is an equilateral triangle, so this right here is 60 degrees. So here's my hypotenuse, here's my short, and here's my long. I'm looking for the long. The long leg equals the short times the square root of 3. So in this case, we have to take 2 times the square root of 3. The height equals 2 times the square root of 3. And got it. I was a little bit out of the screen here. Let's backtrack here a little bit. Long equals short times the square root of 3. And when I looked at my right triangle here, the short leg was 2 times the square root of 3 gives me my height. All right, last page, just 2 left here. Logo on a recycling bin resembles an equilateral triangle with side lengths of 6 centimeters. Approximate the area. So, again, another area problem here. Equilateral triangle, 60. Bam, here's my height. I have to know the height to find the area. And it says that the side lengths are 6, so that would be 6. That would mean this is half of that, which is 3. And that kind of makes sense here. The hypotenuse, the short leg. Short. Times it by 2, there's my hypotenuse. Kind of some special things going on there. Now the height is equal to the short times the square root of 3. All right, now we can find the area. Area equals 1/2 times the base. The whole base is 3 plus 3, which is 6, times the height, 3 root 3. Simplify down, that's 3 times 3. We have 9 times the square root of 3 equals the area, and that is in centimeters squared. And you could get the decimal approximation by typing that into a calculator. And the last one, the body of a dump truck is raised to empty a load of sand. How high is the 14-foot long body from the frame when it is tipped upward by a 60-degree angle? So I need to find this piece here, x. So 14 here. I'm going to redraw this a little bit bigger just so I have a little bit of an easier time here. So this one was 60. This piece here is what we're finding, x, and this is 14. So we have hypotenuse. Short is down here, long over here. Now in order for us to find the long, we need to find the short. If we know the hypotenuse, the short leg's half of that, so that would make the short leg 7. Short leg is 7, half of 14. Now to find the long, x, it's equal to the short, which is 7 times the square root of 3. And that is in feet. So 7 times the square root of 3. I went through that one a little bit quicker. 14, that's the hypotenuse. Divide it by 2 gives me the short. Divide it by 2, that's 7. Multiply by the square root of 3 to get the long, 7 root 3. After a few of these and lots of practice, it kind of comes that quick. All right, that's it for today. Have a good one.